Cybersecurity is an urgent national problem that affects every Australian. We have seen losses across our economy for individuals, for small businesses, for large businesses. An average incident costs an individual $33,000. And that's just those incidents that are reported to the government. An incident is reported once every 6 minutes here in Australia, and we know that is just the tip of the iceberg. These cybersecurity incidents cost our economy a great deal. And it's not just the financial cost, it's the emotional toll. It's the privacy loss. It's the loss of confidence. And it's the psychological impacts of being targeted, being extorted.
So Digital ID was introduced in Australia partly because of some of the big data breaches we saw from some of the well-known companies where people had actually provided personal information. That information was held by those companies for a period of time. And so the government really saw a need to set up something like Digital ID, which would mean that there was only accredited Digital ID providers that were holding limited information, and that your personal information wasn't therefore being provided to lots of different parts of the economy, which really increased the risk of data breaches. But it also was importantly set up because the current processes are really cumbersome and difficult as an individual, where I've got to continue to pull out documents that I might not be carrying every day, like birth certificates. There was a real need to modernise the way that we transact with businesses and with government, but importantly for that extra security and privacy that Digital ID brings. I like to think of a Digital ID as a modern form of the 100-point check. A lot of Australians would be familiar with having to provide multiple identity documents where they need to prove they are who they say they are. What Digital ID allows you to do is to do those verifications safely on your own device. You can basically do a check of each of those individual identity documents, and then as you basically build up a strength in your Digital ID on your device, once you've got your Digital ID set up, you can then use that Digital ID to transact safely online with all sorts of government services, and over time also with private services as well.
With an accredited Digital ID, your identity is secured with encryption, making it more private and more secure. You only need to share the minimum amount of identity or information to verify who you are. It also means you have greater control and you can provide consent to who can check your identity.
There's some really strict rules and oversight on that, and they're subject to the regulator oversight.
When you use Digital ID, you don't need to provide your ID documents to multiple organisations, which runs the risk of them being exposed or not being stored properly. It also means there are fewer copies of your personal identification online that can be exposed, potentially stolen, stored inappropriately, or simply lost. Using an accredited Digital ID makes a business less attractive for cybercriminals. It's like the analogy of a business where no cash is kept on the premises. It reduces the identity documents that need to be held by any business, making them a less attractive target. It means that they hold less information, and the information they hold is more secure. When we secure our identity through Digital ID, we are all more secure. We can determine and give consent for when our ID is shared. We don't have our documents spread across multiple organisations. And the fate and the security of those documents doesn't rest in the hands of people who may not know how to secure it properly. This is the best way to keep your identity documents secure. It is a more secure way to control your identity.